What's up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here, and today I'm going to take you back into time and introduce you to the very first Wendigo that ever roamed the scorched wasteland of Appalachia. In this video, you will meet the creature of folklore and understand the circumstances that made a creature of myth become a vicious reality. So, without further ado, let's get started. In order to discover the origins of the Wendigo, we must first venture to an abandoned raider encampment located in the Savage Divide. This particular encampment, by the name of Bolton Greens, was home to the Gourmands, one of the 5 raider gangs that ravaged the wasteland before being eradicated by the Scorched Plague. Interestingly enough, the word gourmand, or gourmand, has a meaning tied to food and its consumption in excess. In other words, gourmand is a fancy French word for a person who enjoys eating food to a fault, aka a glutton. I find the name that this band of raiders took for themselves to be incredibly ironic, mostly because their primary issue and number one enemy was their lack of resources, namely food. Multiple notes and letters scattered about the Bolton Greens location refer to their ever-dwindling resources. Over time, desperate members of the gang were willing to take desperate measures to survive. Due to these scarce resources and the constant need for food, the raiders of the Gourmand gang resorted to cannibalism. Their one rule, however, was to never eat your own. One of the founding members by the name of Morris Stevens and his wife Edie ended up violating that rule and eating one of the fleshier gang members, Gregory. Once the others discovered this unforgivable transgression, both Stevens and his wife were exiled from the gang. With nothing but their clothes on their backs, they were banished from the Gourmands raider gang. Desperate for safety, shelter, and most importantly food, the husband and wife sought refuge in a cave far east of the Bolton Greens encampment. Stevens and his wife, ill-prepared for survival out in this wasteland, let alone in a dark, desolate cave, were unable to sustain themselves for long. The days went by, and the bits and scraps of their unsuspecting victims no longer satiated their hunger. Stevens would fantasize about sinking his teeth deep into the fresh flesh of that filthy raider back at Bolton Greens, the blood pouring down his throat. He had to feel that sensation again, but how? And more importantly, who? Before long, Stevens looked upon his wife with a great lust, but this time his carnal desires were much more literal. Stevens' bloodlust consumed him, and in turn, Stevens consumed his wife. The instinctual need to feed, coupled with the mutagenic effects of the irradiated wasteland, transformed Stevens into the very first Wendigo, or more specifically, the Progenitor Wendigo, as evidenced by his title. A progenitor is a person or thing from which a similar person or thing is descended or originates. In other words, an ancestor, or the first of its kind. In our world, Wendigos are supernatural creatures of Algonquin folklore that were characterized as malevolent, cannibalistic beings that were strongly associated with insatiable greed, famine, and starvation. The cryptids reveal glimpses of the overall state of post-war Appalachia. It seems that mankind's innate evil only served as a catalyst to the twisted events that would slowly unfold and contribute to this eradication of virtually all human life in the scorched wasteland that we know as Appalachia. There is still much to discover and even more secrets waiting to be revealed. Join me in the next video and in our journey to Appalachia. I look forward to seeing you there, and until next time, it's the Inhuman One signing out.